nicht nur als Impulsant.
Hello and welcome to the West Asia Post. I am Ghadi Francis, coming to you from the heart of Beirut, Lebanon, and this is WION's weekly show where we bring you all things new from the most volatile region in the world. From Gaza, we are starting after back-to-back shootings further crippled the aid operation and further escalated the humanitarian crisis. Before we delve into that, let's take a look at what's making the headlines across the region. Shootings and gunfires near aid centers have become the new norm in Gaza. This is all happening while people are basically starving to death sometimes. Now, why is this happening, and why have the Israelis said that the routes to these aid centers are combat zones? We tell you more.
Gazans are starving. There's almost no food. The aid centers are deserted. Food items are selling at astronomical prices. 1 kilogram of flour is selling at $300. One packet of butter costs $25, as per local reports. A US-backed aid group is reopening 2 of its aid centers in the Palestinian enclave. The Gaza Humanitarian Foundation says it is coordinating with the Israeli military for better coordination of aid distribution. This development comes after the sites witnessed multiple shooting incidents, killing at least 80 Palestinians and injuring hundreds. According to the Hamas-run civil defense agency, the first incident took place early on Sunday morning when 31 Palestinians were killed by Israeli fire. Another 3 people were killed by gunfire on Monday morning, according to the International Committee of the Red Cross.
We only wanted to feed our children. They're the ones who need food, not us. We're used to going without, like during Ramadan. That's why we rushed to the aid distribution site. They tempted people with promises of help, but in the end, they opened fire. Why? What did we do to deserve this?
Again on Tuesday, 27 Palestinians lost their lives. Israel denounced the claims as false. Reports claiming it only fired at suspects who drifted away from the designated route.
Earlier today, IDF forces fired warning shots half a kilometer from the distribution point at suspects who approached them and were endangering the safety of the fighters. The incident is under investigation, and also here we will arrive to the truth.
All 3 reportedly placed near an aid distribution center in the southwest of Gaza in the Tal al-Sultan area. The facilities are part of a new US-backed aid system widely condemned by humanitarian groups aiming to bypass the UN, which Israel has accused of failing to prevent Hamas diverting aid to its fighters. But the UN and aid groups deny there is a significant diversion of aid to militants, and say the new system, which they have rejected, allows Israel to use food as a weapon and violates humanitarian principles and won't be effective.
OCHA stresses once again that after 80 full days of blockade on the entry of aid and any other supplies, people in Gaza are starving. This demands the urgent opening of all crossings and allowed unimpeded access for humanitarian organizations to deliver aid at scale through multiple routes and to all areas where people require assistance. Our partners tell us that more than 90% of families in Gaza lack the cash needed to buy what little food remains available in the markets.
Israel has now banned Palestinians to travel on the roads leading to aid centers. Gazans now ask, is that practically possible? Thousands of Palestinians walk to the sites early each morning in search of a handful of food. The scenes are desperate. It remains unclear how aid agencies, the new bagged aid system in Gaza, will come to a common ground, one that would revive Palestinians from famine.
Iran and Israel are preparing for any eventuality if the Washington-Tehran nuclear talks don't get to a deal. Now, Iran is focused on its uranium enrichment, while Israel is carrying on air drills. In our next report, we discover how these arch enemies prepare for the battlefield. Take a look.
Israel and Iran are gearing up for the battlefield, gearing up for any eventuality if Washington's nuclear talks with Tehran do not yield positive results.
Independence means not waiting for the green light from America and the likes of America, and not worrying about the red light from America and the likes of America.
UN Atomic Agency has warned that Iran is stepping up the production of enriched uranium in the thick of its talks with the United States. It says Iran has increased its stockpile of uranium enriched to 60% in less than 4 months. The United Nations nuclear watchdog says that Iran's cooperation with the agency is less than satisfactory.
The big difference here is that we are talking about 400, more or less 400 kilograms of 60% uranium. It's a very high level of enrichment.
Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reacted to the IAEA report, saying that it was a clear warning sign that Iran is totally determined to complete its nuclear weapons program.
This is evident from the alarming scope of Iran's uranium enrichment activity. Such a level of enrichment exists only in countries actively pursuing nuclear weapons and has no civilian justification whatsoever.
The Islamic Republic accused Israel of providing unreliable and misleading information to the United Nations nuclear watchdog to be used in its new report. In light of recent reports of an imminent strike on its nuclear facilities, Tehran is aggressively increasing the capabilities of its missile system, ensuring that it has more nuclear-capable weaponry in its arsenal. Recently, Iran unveiled a new solid-fuel ballistic missile called Qasim Basif, which has a range of 1,200 kilometers. Tehran had recently unveiled its underground missile city. The country has drawn up detailed plans for 5 new missile bases. These are heavily fortified underground military facilities that store, maintain and can launch short, medium and intermediate range ballistic missiles. They form the backbone of the country's missile strategy, designed specifically to protect key assets from detection or destruction during conflict. Its increased stockpile of weapons having a nuclear payload includes medium-range ballistic missiles such as Khurramshahr, Shahab-3 and Sejr. It also includes intermediate-range missiles such as Imad and Ghadar. Iran's defense minister Aziz Nasirzadeh says Tehran is ready to defend itself in case of an attack. He added that Iran has no hostility towards neighboring countries, but the United States bases in the region will be considered targets by Tehran. Reports suggest Israel has been preparing itself to launch strikes on Iran's nuclear bases for months. Reports say US intel has gathered information regarding the movement of Israeli troops and ammunitions in the West Asian region. Israel has reportedly conducted air drills and is waiting for US President Donald Trump's nod to attack Iran. Israel has even conducted strikes targeting Syria's coastal cities, Latakia and Tartus, saying it struck weapon storage facilities containing missiles that posed a threat to international and Israeli maritime freedom of navigation. According to a Reuters report, Saudi Arabia's defense minister Prince Khalid bin Salman held a closed-door meeting in Tehran with Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian and Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi in April. During the meeting, the Saudi prince reportedly warned Iran that Trump had little patience for drawn-out negotiations and that it would be better to reach a deal with the US than face the possibility of an Israeli attack if the talks broke down. This situation raises a critical question. Will Israel proceed with unilateral strikes on Iran's nuclear program without approval from the United States?
Still in Iran, the Islamic Republic is recently facing tensions at its borderline with Pakistan. Now, we have recently reported about the high-tech wall that Iran is building along the Pakistani borders. They recently removed the nationality from around 30,000 Pakistanis who had crossed over the wall. Now, why is this happening on the borders between Iran and Pakistan? We bring you the story.
Spanning across Iran's Sistan and Balochistan and Pakistan's Balochistan, the Iran-Pakistan border is grappling with multiple challenges. The highly porous territory is susceptible to drug smuggling and terrorist activities. Despite maintaining a generally positive relationship, both countries have often accused each other of harboring terrorists and failing to secure their respective sides of the border. These concerns prompted the setting up of the Iran-Pakistan border barrier that both nations agreed to in 2011. Iran is securing its eastern front, building high walls to safeguard its territory. Over the years, Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and top officials have sought to seal Tehran's borders while maintaining designated crossings for legal trade and travel. But despite the fortification project that is still underway, the illegal cross-border crossing is on the rise. Pakistan's Passport and Immigration Department announced 34,000 undocumented Pakistani nationals have been repatriated from Iran over the past year. 50,000 more were deported from Iraq. Many Pakistani nationals attempt to enter Iran illegally in an attempt to reach European and Persian Gulf countries for work and migration opportunities. Reports suggest as many as 135,000 Pakistanis have applied for political asylum in Europe and the United States over the past 2 years. Several countries, including the UAE, Italy, the UK, and other European nations, have suspended student visa programs for Pakistani applicants. Pakistani officials point to the rising trend of Pakistanis overstaying while visiting Saudi Arabia, Iran, and Iraq for pilgrimage. Islamabad is now cancelling the passports of over 7,800 citizens who were deported from different countries for their involvement in beggary and other illegal activities abroad. Tensions along Iran's eastern border are part of a broader pattern of regional instability and conflict, with Iran facing challenges from both within and beyond its borders.
Now let's go to Turkey. Last week we reported about Recep Tayyip Erdogan wanting to rewrite the Turkish constitution. And this week we will report about his crackdown on opposition figures. Now, he didn't stop at the mayor of Istanbul, Imamoglu. It's still ongoing. Take a look.
Turkey's government continues its crackdown on the country's main opposition party. Amid growing political tensions, 5 more mayors from opposition party CHP have been arrested. The latest sweep includes 3 mayors from Istanbul and 2 more from the southern province of Adana. The Istanbul Chief Public Prosecutor's Office issued detention orders for 47 people and detained another 30. The operation is the 5th wave of arrests against the government's political opponents, starting with the jailing of Istanbul's mayor Ekrem İmamoğlu, known as President Tayyip Erdogan's main rival, in March. İmamoğlu's arrest on March 19 triggered the largest street protests Turkey has seen in over a decade. Despite his arrest, CHP has declared İmamoğlu as its main candidate for the 2028 presidential elections. But his future in politics hangs in the balance, as he is facing multiple ongoing trials and investigations. Erdogan's administration rejects claims of political interference, insisting the judiciary is independent. Prosecutors have opened an investigation into the leader of Turkey's main opposition, Republican People's Party, on charges of threatening and insulting Istanbul's chief prosecutor. At least 11 mayors, including İmamoğlu, have now been removed from office as part of investigations into CHP municipalities. Istanbul and a clutch of major cities fell to the CHP in 2019, with the opposition extending its control in last year's municipal elections. CHP won the municipalities of 36 of Turkey's 81 provinces in local polls. It gained 37% of the votes nationwide, compared to 36% for the president's party, marking the CHP's greatest electoral victory since Erdogan came to power 2 decades ago. The vote was seen as a barometer of Erdogan's popularity, as he sought to win back control of key urban areas he lost to the opposition in elections 5 years ago. The CHP's victory in Ankara and Istanbul in 2019 had shattered Erdogan's aura of invincibility. The sweeping crackdown against the opposition also comes at a time when Erdogan, who has presided over Turkey for more than 2 decades as Prime Minister since 2003 and President since 2014, has been advocating for a new constitution that would put family values at the forefront.
The US is planning to withdraw all its troops from Iraq by 2026. But the question is, will there be implications? And is the Iraqi state ready to deal with the terrorist extremists' threats? We tell you.
When the Islamic State group seized control of swathes of Iraq territory in 2014, the US launched airstrikes and provided support to Iraqi and Kurdish forces in the region. As the extremist group surged into Iraq's second-largest city of Mosul, members of the Iraqi security forces fled, stripping off their uniforms. After 3 years of fierce fighting near Baghdad, Mosul was finally liberated. The military effort was spearheaded by Iraq's elite counter-terrorism service, bolstered by the return of American troops and the U.S. Air Force. The U.S. spent $25 billion on training and equipping Iraq's security forces up to September 2012, alongside Iraq's own spending on fighter jets and other advanced materials. It was only last year that U.S. and Iraq agreed to end Operation Inherent Resolve, the U.S.-led coalition's mission to combat ISIL. The majority of 2,500 U.S. personnel in Iraq are scheduled to leave in the initial phase, with a small number remaining until 2026. With reports of an increase in attacks by Islamic State sleeper cells, fears of instability across the border in Syria, and with Iran looking to shore up its resistance axis in Iraq, there are concerns that another complete U.S. withdrawal will once again leave the country vulnerable. Sleeper cells are already activated in the region, where the ISIS claimed its first attack on Syrian forces loyal to Ahmed al-Shara. Reports suggest some Iraqi politicians want a U.S. presence to continue, at least till the ongoing U.S.-Iran nuclear talks reach a conclusion. The pressing question is whether Iraq is ready to maintain its own security in its turbulent times, ensuring the horrors of 2014 are not repeated.
Over the decades, the Saudi authorities have gone to extra lengths to expand the Grand Mosque in Mecca, the place where millions of Muslims converge to perform the holy pilgrimage of Hajj. The next report, we take you to how millions of Muslims are carrying on Hajj in these days. Take a look.
O God, be with our brothers in Palestine. O God, take care of their affairs. O God, feed the hungry among them, clothe the naked, shelter the homeless, heal the broken-hearted, provide security for the fearful, and protect them from the evil of their enemies. O God, grant them victory over your enemies and theirs with your strength and might. O strong, O mighty.
That's all we have for you on this episode of the West Asia Post. I will see you next week with a brand new lineup, always bringing you the most recent updates, news, and ground reports from the world's most volatile region. I am Radi Francis signing off from Beirut, Lebanon. For more global news, keep on watching WION World is One.
India's Global Voice, the channel that brings you the biggest stories from across the world through India's lens. Now available in more than 190 countries worldwide. Because we believe that the world is one. Watch us in Africa, Europe, USA and Canada, South America, Asia Pacific, Middle East and North African regions. Also available on these digital platforms across the world. WION. World is one.
Distinct winds are blowing in Nepal for a return to the monarchy amid a growing undercurrent of public dissatisfaction with political parties and the republic. A severe hunger crisis grips Afghanistan. Nearly 15 million people are facing acute food insecurity. United Nations warns Afghanistan is just one step away from famine. And India's northeastern states battle deadly floods. Monsoon wreaks havoc across the region. All this and much more on Inside South Asia.